Oh, man. Hello, world. What is up? Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Matt Forte. We are here live at the Build studio in New York City. Before we jump in, though, a real quick thank you to our friends over at Macy's for bringing a little bit of springtime back to the Build stage. Their annual flower show is happening right now through April 7th. It's in New York. It's in Chicago. It's in San Francisco. This year's cosmic-inspired theme is the Journey to Paradisios. Yeah, you got to go see it with a name like that, all right? So it is not to be missed. There's flowers you've never even seen or heard of before. It's pretty amazing. Head over to Macy's.com/flower show. It's all kinds of info. Check it out. Go do it before April 7th. You will not regret it. Our final guest of the day stars in the Freeform original series Marvel's Cloak and Dagger. Back for its second season. It premieres tomorrow, April 4th, with Tandy just moving back in with her mom and Tyrone wanted for murder. I kind of got a lot of questions going into this season, so it's a good thing. Our next guest is none other than the star of Marvel's Cloak and Dagger, Tandy Bowen herself. The great Olivia Holt is back. How about that? We excited Olivia's here? I'm excited. Good. Because I'm excited too. We're all excited together. We're going to bring her out in just a second. But before we do, I believe we have a peek at the show. So let's go ahead and run that clip.
And 8. Spot, Tandy. See what you're spotting. Keep your turn out. Shoulders down.
Where the money at? It was here a second ago.
Living by the rules that you write.
Bitch, I don't know where it went.
All the little lies you recite. Just makes all the savage unite. Usually I'm very polite.
We want to get this
I'ma
right.
get savage tonight.
Midline.
Even when that dog being nice.
I ain't saying that.
Every single dog gonna bite. You might think I'm wrong, but I'm right. Just let it get a strong appetite. I'ma let it breathe just a little. Give it to you strong, heavy metal. I don't make a sound when I strike. You better just run for your life.
Oh, ladies and gentlemen, do it up right. Olivia Holt's right here. Come on. Make some noise. Hey, welcome back.
Thanks for having me back.
Oh, my God, of course. Why wouldn't we? You're so awesome. Look, this show is fantastic.
Thank you.
You know that. You made it. But I'm telling you, as a viewer, it's wonderful. You should be very
Thank
proud.
you. No, that means a lot, seriously.
So I'm really excited to talk to you all about it. First and foremost, though, the usual. How are you doing? How's life going right now? You doing all right?
I'm doing really good. I'm doing so good. Yeah, we wrapped second season in February, and it's been so, I mean, you know, usually like we wrap a project and a couple months go by and then you start doing press and all that good stuff, but we went straight into it. So it feels like we haven't stopped. It just is like an ever-going season of Cloak and Dagger, yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. When you said you wrapped in February, I was like, oh, because we had, I think it was like it was Sabrina. We had the cast of Sabrina here earlier. They wrapped like in December of last year. Like they've had a nice little chill time to be people.
You usually do. Like that's the normal way to do it, but we don't do normal. We like to mix things up, you know?
Normal is not part of it anymore.
Nah,
You're in the Marvel family now.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to get into it. There's a lot going on. The world, the universe feels like it's about to really explode and blow up in this one versus the first one. I imagine a lot of exciting things. We don't want to reveal or talk about any spoilers, but what going into season 2, was there anything in particular you were really excited about that you can tell us?
There's more physicality this season, which is really cool. Last season, obviously, you know, our characters just discovered that they had powers, so they were still sort of like coping with the fact that that was a thing, and they were trying to grasp the fact that they had powers and what do we do with them and how do they work. And this season, they have a way better understanding of exactly what's going on and a lot more stunts. We did a lot of our own stunts, which was really cool. Obviously, you know, safety was involved, but
everything
like
seems to be operational, so it looks like you didn't get hurt. But
But it was fun, and we had a lot of cool creative control, which is amazing. You don't get that a lot on certain projects, so it's a very collaborative process. But I'd say, like, as far as the action goes, it is top notch this season.
Did you have to do anything really scary, but also really fun?
Ballet.
Really?
I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Before we started shooting, I did a month of ballet training, which doesn't really seem like a long time, but in the moment, I mean, it is. I have gained a whole new respect for trained ballerinas. I mean, they do it their whole lives. I only did it for a month, and I was like, why do I feel like I'm 91? Like, my whole back, my body was aching. Like, it's intense and rigorous work. And Emma Lahana, who plays Bridget O'Reilly on the show, she's actually a trained ballerina. So yeah, I was like, I'm like, I know you're gonna cringe when you see the scenes that I shot with all the ballet. I mean, you guys just watched the clip. Like, our first day of shooting was all of my ballet scenes from the first episode, and there's like 7 of them. I was like, really, guys? It's intense. Yeah, it's really, really intense. But I mean, I had fun doing it, and again, like, I've gained a whole new respect for them.
Oh, you sold the hell out of it. I had no idea you never danced
before.
before.
Thank you. Well, any dancers in there, I'm sure you're watching it and you're like, that's so wrong. But the good news is Tandy's not supposed to be great, so it plays a little in my favor, you know.
To be fair, I'm hardly a trained ballerina, but as a casual
that's hard to believe.
As a casual viewer, I was sold. I was like, oh no, she does ballet too. I had no idea.
Well, thank you. Good. Okay, that makes me happy.
All right, so the physicality's increased, and you know, I don't. At the risk of simplifying things, I feel like Ty and Tandy kind of switched places in a way where they are right now, which I thought was a really interesting way to go into things. Did you guys sit down and sort of trade notes and like try to put each other in each other's shoes to sort of better understand the perspectives? Because
honestly, we didn't do that, but I think just by everything that went down first season, it's just so, you know, I mean, we took it all in, and that's not the norm, you know. I mean, we're not showing on television what stereotypes are. Like, we're actually like showing what happens, you know, to white females in America and young black males in America, and we're, you know, pushing the boundaries a little bit, and this next season, obviously, we sort of switch places. Tandy moves back home with her mom and tries to mend that relationship and understand the things that she went through with, you know, her dad. And Tyrone is in hiding and living in survival mode, which is exactly what Tandy was doing last season. So, but 8 months have gone by, and they've developed this incredible friendship, and you start to see that their relationship is like just thriving, except they're keeping a couple dark secrets from each other, and we'll see that pan out throughout the season.
there is a lot of fun stuff about their relationship that's happened, like the movie nights. There's another little bit. We didn't see it in that clip, of course, but there is those fun little traditions they have, and it feels like this season you're spending a lot more time with Aubrey than you were on the first season.
Yeah, last season I rarely saw Aubrey. Like, it was like everyone was like, oh, like when we would come on set together, they'd be like, finally, it's not Cloak or Dagger, but it's Cloak and Dagger. Yeah, it's like the show we're actually shooting. So yeah, this season we spent a lot more time together, which was really fun, and also with Emma, because, you know, her character has definitely escalated this season, and all 3 of us are in scenes together, which is amazing, because I had 1 scene with Emma last season, only 1. Really? Yeah, only 1. I know it's hard to believe, but only 1 scene, and now we're all in scenes together, and it's fun. It changes the dynamics a little bit.
Well, I was going to say, you and Aubrey seemed pretty close and pretty tight, even though you know, your time together was short on set. What has being able to be together more done for that friendship? Is it like, have you got, sometimes even your best friend you kind of get too much of, or no, has it only strengthened the bond between you two?
Honestly, we're total noobs together. Like, we're so goofy, and like but it's hard because like we're shooting a drama, and some of our scenes are so emotional, so sometimes they have to separate us. Yeah, so sometimes they put us like our chairs like next to each other, like in between takes, and like I'll literally have to pick up my chair and move it because we'll just be laughing so hard. And I'm like, we can't do this. Like, we're shooting an emotional scene. Like, we have to like, there's got to be a little bit of distance and separation. So sometimes that has to
Where does the laughter, are you guys like trying to crack each other up and trying to break each other, or is it just sort of organic? I've been here for 8 hours and it's kind of just
like
happening
delirium.
right now. Exactly.
It's a little bit of everything, like all of the above. Most of the time it's just, we have a lot in common, and we also have the same sense of humor. And sometimes it's just like bad timing, you know, like when you're in church and you're not supposed to be laughing, and that's all you can do. It's sort of like that. You're on set and you're in a professional environment and you shouldn't be laughing, but that's all you can do. So, yeah.
Where was your level of confidence walking into season 2? Because season 1, there was so much that was new and unknown. It was like, you know, this is your sophomore season. It's very much like your sophomore year.
No,
like,
that's actually exactly how I describe
it. Really?
Yeah, I literally describe it exactly like that. It feels like college. Like, first season was freshman year, sort of figuring out the kinks and sort of trying to grasp exactly what's going on. I mean, and not just like in, you know, the environment that we're in, but also as an actor, you're trying to like understand your character and go on this journey with them. And going into season 2, it feels like sophomore year. Like, you got a little bit of understanding now. You know the people that you're around, and it's, I mean, honestly, like, it still feels so surreal and exhilarating and like all of the emotions combined, but I mean, we have such a great cast and crew. Everyone gets along, and it's I mean, you spend so much time with these people. It's almost like you are spending more time with them than you actually are your own family or friends. So it becomes home away from home, and it really feels like that.
You know, talking about home away from home, we kind of got into a little bit last time, the fact that it takes place in New Orleans.
Yeah.
You guys are shooting down there. You're there a lot. You know, has that become a home away from home for you as well? Do you foresee yourself going back to New Orleans even when you're not filming the show, just to go be there every once in a while?
Yeah, NOLA's cool. I mean, if you guys ever get the chance to go, I absolutely say go, because it's honestly like such a special and unique city. I've been to a lot of places and can't compare it to New Orleans to like any of those places, because it feels like its own little island. And I mean, we always say like New Orleans feels like another character in our show. It doesn't feel like the setting or location of where these two characters live. Like, it actually feels like another character, and it's shot so stylistically and cool. Like, you feel the energy, like the eerie energy that's in New Orleans. And I mean, but it is hard. Like, there are, challenges being away for 5 months from your own home and your community and your family and friends. It can be a little isolating, but again, like, that's why I feel so lucky to have the cast and crew that I do, because they make us feel so welcomed, and it does feel like home after a while.
Well, they do. You're right. It is so much another character on the show. They do a really good job the way they wove, whatever. The way they tied together the comics, or the divine pairing, and like tied that into like the history of New Orleans and like the mythology around it. It was a really cool way to tie all of that together and sort of something unique to this show. What are the things that you think make that place so important to this show, and why is it the perfect setting?
Well, the comics are originally based in New York.
Right.
And Joe Pekaski, our showrunner, said something really interesting. He was like, we don't need another superhero in New York. He was like, let's go to New Orleans. And it works so perfectly, and it ties in so well with Tandy and Tyrone and their story and their journey. And I think because New Orleans has gone through so much like destruction. And think about it, like Hurricane Katrina, and they've gone through so much, and Tandy and Tyrone have gone through so much as well, but they don't stop at no. They keep fighting back, and New Orleans does the exact same thing, and I think that's what makes the city so special and so unique, and as well as Tandy and Tyrone and their relationship with each other, and they're unique and they're special, and they've gone through a lot, and they just keep going, and they're so driven and ambitious and resilient, and that is New Orleans, and I think that's why it fits so perfectly.
For sure. Totally, that makes sense. You kind of touched on this very, very early on, and that's the way in which the show handles, through this sort of fantastic lens, modern issues and things that are actually happening out in the world and tackling real human stories. We didn't see too many supervillains in season 1. We saw like police corruption and things like that. As the world and the universe sort of sets the stage to expand, the word mayhem has been teased quite a bit. And as it feels like we may be inching more towards, you guys are using more of your powers, we're getting more superhero-y, have you guys navigated that in such a way that we still get to see you tackle those real world situations and those real world problems?
Yeah, I think it's a lot of the same, I mean, first season, you're right, the real villain of first season was police brutality, sexual assault, drug addiction, suicide, so much more. And this next season, I think the real villain will be human trafficking, and that's what we're tackling this next season. And it's very real, it's very alive, and unfortunately, and we could sit here and we could talk about it all day long, which is amazing. We're opening up, a dialogue and discussing that these are things that are happening, but the difference is we're taking action, and I think that's what's so great about our show is like we're showing people how to take action, and at the end of every episode we have a hotline for suicide, or if there are signs that we've seen that are showing human trafficking in our community or in our area. It's like I've never watched a television show and have seen that before. So like the fact that we're obviously having this conversation but also taking action is so important, and there's so many little hidden truths throughout this show.
That's amazing. When you find out that the show's going to tackle something like that, when you're taking on, they go, all right, Olivia, this season we're going to delve into human trafficking. Do you then go and take it upon yourself to do research or educate yourself more, just so you can better understand the gravity of whatever the message is that you guys are trying to convey and get out there? Like, how do you prepare for that?
No, I mean, it's heavy content, it's heavy material, but at the end of the day, it's not. I mean, we're telling real stories, and we want to be as authentic about it as possible. Even though we're a superhero show, and yes, Tandy and Tyrone have superpowers, and they're probably going to use their superpowers to help change the better, and that was what this whole season is about, is figuring out the kind of heroes that they want to be. But yeah, I mean, doing as much research as possible, really dissecting and digging into what goes into this. We've pulled real life experiences and have written them into our show. That way people can really understand exactly what goes down. And it's really heartbreaking. It is. And some of these scenes were really hard to film, but we're not glamorizing it. We're not doing it for the entertainment. There's certain parts that we are, obviously, but at the end of the day, we want to move people and we want to impact them in positive ways and help, push the culture forward.
Well, that's kind of the amazing thing, is that you sort of the recognition of that. Yes, it's a Marvel show. Yes, it's a comic show. But through that nature, you have this massive platform. Why not use it to not only tell stories that we want to tell, but tell stories that are going to help widen the public consciousness, open these conversations, and get people involved in these kinds of things. And I think it's part of what makes the show so interesting and why people are hooked on it, is because it's more than just the world's ending, get the thing that stops the other thing, so that thing doesn't happen. It's like there's those little bits in there. It's a superhero story, but there's a real story in there. There's real people, and you guys do a really good job at that.
Thank you. I'm so glad you feel that way. That's cool.
Course,
like that's the whole point. We want people to take that away from our show, and I'm glad you feel that way.
That's what I think sets it apart, and that's why we have a season 2. We're gonna go in a little bit to the audience Q&A, but I have a few more things. In the same way you guys would joke on set, it's not Cloak or Dagger, it's Cloak and Dagger. That first season, it was great, but we were all just like, are they together yet? Are they doing it? Are they fighting together yet? They got the powers yet? Like, we were all waiting for it.
I know.
A little bit of that. We're gonna get more of that this season, which is great. A ton more of that this season. What do you say to the fans that can't wait for what they consider the inevitable romantic element of the relationship? There are plenty of people who are like, are they together yet? It's a different kind of together now, but they're still on the edge of the seat looking for it, asking for it. I know you get asked this a lot, but I'm curious, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, I mean, don't forget, Tyrone still has a girl, and I know that Tandy is super aggressive with some of her actions, but I think she totally aggressive, but I think she respects him. She respects him, and she wants him to figure it out for himself and fend for himself. And I think I personally, I love the slow burn. I love the fact that they're becoming friends, and it's a platonic thing first before it turns into anything romantic. And I understand, it's the anticipation, and you're wanting it now, give it to me now. But when that moment does come, if it does, then you are gonna feel it so much more, because you see that they have already this insane chemistry and electrifying connection that, they're better together than they are apart. And we see a lot more of that this season, more than we did last season. And of course, like you said, it's been 8 months. They're having movie nights. Yeah. They're best friends. Exactly. And I think that that's what makes their relationship so unique and special. But we'll see what happens on the romantic side.
Gotta leave that door open. We'll see.
Yeah.
There's one last thing we're gonna do real quick. I'll remind everybody, April 4th, Cloak and Dagger 2-hour premiere. But the last thing I wanted to ask you, you just dropped a single recently, didn't you? You got some new music out there.
Yeah, I do.
Not too long ago. That's very exciting.
Thanks, man.
Have you been finding it, you went, just like you said, right from shooting to promo. Has it been challenging to find time to make some new music and do that?
Listen, it's always challenging to do anything.
Yeah,
it's exactly. But I don't know. I love both so much. Music was originally what I wanted to do. And the fact that, I'm getting the opportunity to do it, but to be able to take my time with it and to sort of explore the kind of artist I want to be, and to explore with music, because it's ever changing, and music is just constantly on the go. But I have found time, and I'll make time, and I don't want to sort of put it on the back burner. I want to be able to actually invest myself into it. That way I'm more proud of it, and I'll enjoy the experience, and I'll look back and it'll be a memory versus something that was rushed, So I have found time. There's actually a really cool studio in New Orleans that I found, and I would go on the weekends. It was originally a church. So cool.
That's the place,
the best place. Exactly. It was originally a church. And then Hurricane Katrina hit, and a whole church was wiped out except for a wall filled with all these like stained glass windows. It's beautiful, and so they reconstructed it into a studio. And I found it, and I've actually recorded and written a bunch of stuff there. It's amazing. But you're right, coolest place to make music. I mean, because it's a music-driven city. Yeah, exactly.
So much a part of the identity.
Totally, yeah. So it's been fun, and I'm enjoying the whole process, and like I'm just excited for everybody to hear everything. And I know that that's like such like a cliche thing to say. I can't wait for you to check out my new stuff. But like I really am. Like I'm so proud of it, and I'm so happy that it's taken the time that it has, because I just feel like so invested in it, and so. It's me. It's all me. It's all like my blood, my passion, my sweat, my tears, like in so many years of hard work. So I'm excited.
That sounds very exciting.
Thank you.
What do you have like a timeline in mind of like how you're gonna?
I mean, I know for sure new music will be out this month, which is exciting.
There you go.
She's like, yes, thanks.
Perfect.
But yeah, no, it's great. And my fans are so funny because I'm always like, soon, it's coming soon. And they're like, if she says soon one more freaking time, and I'm like, I know, I'm gonna done saying.
Well, here we go. Exclusive this month.
Yeah, this month.
Perfect. There we go. That's way better than soon. We're gonna take some questions. We got one from Twitter, and then we'll go to the audience over here. This first one is from, I love this, at Edward is the man. I can only presume. Yeah, Edward yourself.
You
Edward
are the man, Edward.
Fantastic. Well done, Edward. You got to be your own cheerleader. That's how this world works. Edward is the man asks, who is your favorite Marvel superhero? It's a softball, Edward, but I'll give it to you. If you're going to call yourself the man, you got to come with a
You
heavier
are my
question than
favorite
that.
superhero, Edward.
Yes, Edward.
He is. My favorite Marvel superhero, I'd say Iron Man. I've always been a mega, yes, give it up for Iron Man. I really love Iron Man. And even for because I sometimes like think about like if Cloak and Dagger were to ever team up with anybody, I feel like Tandy would just like, her and Tony Stark would just have like the greatest relationship because they're both sassy and cheeky and like just have like so much like clapback. I feel like it would be a really interesting relationship.
That would be very, very interesting. Edward, you are the man, and I thank you for watching and sending in your question. We got two more questions that are going to come from the room. The first one, microphone. I'm looking. You're pointing, Kate. There you are. Hey, what's up?
Hey.
Okay, so I have a question. What was the biggest challenge playing Tandy, especially in this season, dealing with human trafficking and all of that?
That's a good question. Obviously, it's not easy to talk about those things, but it's something that we were very driven on wanting to do. First season, we obviously tackled a lot of real issues, and second season, we wanted to do the same thing. And I think what was the hardest thing to do was like some of the scenes we had to film, and not even like physically, but like emotionally, like in certain conversations and dialogue. It was hard to discuss those things because you can't even believe that it's happening, and not just in the U.S. but around the world, and not just to women but to men. And I think like it just is so devastating. And for me, there were days where it was harder than other days, but I also feel very grateful to be a part of a show that's willing to put those conversations out there and to push the boundaries on a whole new level. And I love Tandy's compassion and her drive to want to make the world a better place. And that's why I'm so grateful to play a character like her. She's not just one note. She has so many layers to her. But the one thing that I admire the most is that she doesn't stop at no. And when it comes to these girls, she's not going to stop. So I think that's what really kept me going, is that she's not weak in any sort of way in her headspace and her heart space. She just wants to continue making the world and her city a better place. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you.
That's a great question. Thank you for that. You tell me I got one more. We got one more question coming to us from right over here. Come on over.
Hi, Olivia.
Hello.
So my question to you is that if Tandy was here right now and you just finished season 1 and moving on to season 2, what advice would you give to her before moving on to the new season?
I mean, Tandy is just... she's a hard one to crack. She really is. I would tell her that it's going to be okay. I don't think she has enough people like that in her life to help her move forward. Obviously, season 1, she had a very cynical side of her, did not believe in herself or in the people around her. The world took from her, so she was going to take it right back. And season 1, we leave off with her moving back home with her mom, Melissa, and sort of trying to mend that relationship and build her relationship with Tyrone. And she ends up going to a women's group with her mom. And I think you see the hope spark a little bit more in her. So I think I would just tell her to fiercely believe in herself and in that hope, and to continue down that path because that looks pretty bright. No pun intended.
I wasn't going to call it out.
I said it and I was like, wait, wait a second.
Fantastic. That was a great question
Thank
as well. You were a wonderful audience, all of you. And
Yeah,
you were
thanks,
amazing
guys.
guests.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yes. Your applause is a little early, but warranted. We're gonna wrap things up. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us and tuning in out there. A reminder, April 4th, I believe, yes, 8 p.m. on Freeform, 2-hour premiere. And you can catch up, I'm almost positive, on Hulu. The whole first season's there as well. Yeah, so
Whole
there you
first
go.
season.
Yeah, so you can watch the whole first season on Hulu. You can join the party if you haven't joined it yet. And you should. It's a fantastic show. I want to thank my guest, Olivia, for being here, but I couldn't possibly do it alone. So everybody, please make a ridiculous amount of noise and join me in thanking the great Olivia Holt.
Thank you. You're so good to me.